Hello and welcome to Paper Traders, a show where two averages Eric and I'm here with Danny, and we are kind of just gonna run through some quick details today because overall there really isn't all much to say about the markets.
Well, I mean,
It's an up day, which is good.
yeah. I mean, we're bouncing around a little bit as investors kind of are probably well aware. We had a bit of volatility on Friday and yesterday, kind of leading into it. The market was down on Tuesday, and that was kind of in part to what's been going on in the global, I guess, scheme, which is the coronavirus, which is kind of affecting everything right now that it has business
But is
over
it
in
though?
China.
Is it though?
At least the companies in China, due to their government shutdowns, people not going to work, factory shutdowns, which, is directly affecting Apple. We spoke on like Burger King and certain restaurants like that were shutting down half of their restaurants. So
Weirdly enough, did you hear Burger King's new ad pitch?
no, I did not.
It's actually kind of gross while we're talking about it. I'm going to see if I can pull it up. But yeah, they're basically trying to tout the fact that they're not going to use preservatives anymore in their burgers.
So how are they gonna transport it fast enough? Isn't
I
that
mean,
why
it's
they
gonna
use
be
preservatives,
frozen.
right?
Yeah,
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
you're still gonna be able to freeze it.
Sure,
like their
true.
meat's still gonna be frozen, but their bread's gonna have less preservatives, and I'm pretty sure that any of their sauces they're gonna have to work that out. But yeah, that's their new deal. They're gonna go preservative free.
I wonder how that will affect kind of the prices.
I don't
You know
know.
what I mean? Like
Well,
those
I guess
burgers
it'll
are
go up.
cheap as heck already.
I'm sure it'll go up, but I mean, check this out. I mean, it's kind of gross. This is their new ad.
Wait, can I show that? That's
Yeah,
really
it's their ad right here.
Burger King announces new preserve. Oh my God, the mold.
The mold, yeah, it's a moldy burger. How gross is that?
Well, that's true because I
I mean, how
remember
nasty is that?
back. I don't remember when, but I remember when those. I don't know if there were videos or ads like campaigning against fast food, and they would show you a burger when you first bought it, and then months and months later they'd show you a picture of it, and it's the same thing.
Pretty
like,
sure a lot of that was urban legend and prank stuff, because I remember a lot what you're talking about. It was specifically McDonald's.
Yeah, but
they were saying those things will last like 40 years in a shoe.
I don't think
like,
they would last that long, but they definitely don't grow mold the way other food normally does.
I'm sure
like I
eventually
get a
it
loaf
does.
of bread, I swear sometimes it goes bad within a couple of days if you set it in the wrong spot. Like it's, I don't know.
Well,
you
yeah.
get moisture in the
Right.
house. It's dark. Blah
Of
blah
course.
blah. The perfect storm.
And that's what I'm saying. I'm pretty sure if we could run an experiment if you want. We could put a burger here in your office
No, I
and
don't
then
wanna do
live
that.
stream it and see how that works out. So people could see live how quickly a burger molds out. But yeah, that's their new ad campaign. There's a little bit of talk about that on Twitter. Just the fact 'cause you touched on it, I
Yeah.
happened to see that story too. I was like, oh, that's weird.
Yeah. So I mean, just the market was down a little bit, and again, that was due to the kind of the coronavirus. I wouldn't call it a scare, but just kind of effects that it's having on the companies again that are doing business in
Except for
China.
Samsung.
So, except for
Samsung's doing good because
Apparently.
most of their production's outside of China.
yeah, there you go. So yeah, we saw that. So that was a little bit of a tidbit news. We're also seeing Tesla kind of skyrocket once again. I feel like they have literally just taken the hearts of investors at this moment, and they're running with it. People are just jumping all over them. So, I mean, good for them. But we have analysts left and right basically coming out and raising their price targets, which is kind of the reason why this kind of jump back. We saw last week it went, what was it, like 50% in one day.
Yeah.
So
Up over
9
200% for the year, I think, already.
Yeah, so it jumped. I think it was like 950, and then it dropped back down the next day to 7 something. And people were probably taking profits, but now with the analysts coming out and kind of reaffirming people's, I guess, confidence in the stock, they're jumping back in. And right now, I don't know what it's at currently, but last time I looked, it was around $930.
Let me check right now while you're talking.
Which put it about 8% up today. So. Yeah,
Where are we at?
I mean,
we're at 933 right now.
933.
Up 74.
Man,
Jeez.
I just feel like it's insane. I don't know. I mean, yeah, it could go higher, but at this point, I'm kind of concerned that it's just moving too fast. But
Well, I know
I'm
that-
not an analyst. And
I don't
want to
get the fanboys out screaming again, but I know I did read an article about Germany having a problem with the amount of trees he was cutting down to build his new factory.
Oh, really?
Now, I'm sure this is just going to be a matter of him trying to promise he'll plant 2 trees for each one he cuts down or something, but I know that that was a story last week.
Yeah, that got blown over. I didn't even see that one.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that big a deal. It was just like another something in the way, you know?
Right.
But
Well, yeah, I mean, they are attributing. I'm reading here that they're attributing today's push, this I guess second push, because they were up yesterday as well. There was a analyst that came out from Piper Snagler. I don't know if I'm saying that
it's
correctly.
probably Snagler if I had to guess.
Snagler. They raised their price target from 729 to 928. That's a huge, huge jump. But then they're attributing this to their other businesses, which I'm sure most people aren't even really aware.
Well, I
of
mean, they have the
Tesla's other
solar.
business. Yeah, they own Solar City.
Yeah.
So they were saying
Which is
that,
another reason I don't like them. 'Cause
Yeah.
that was a bailout to his brother-in-law. Like, come on now.
well, this analyst is saying that these other business, the battery storage, their installation and making of solar panels, as well as their networking for the charging stations, because I mean that's what they have
Yeah.
to do with the EV cars. That this will help not only I think surpass the electric vehicle market that he's building. So I don't know. I don't see that business growing the way this analyst is saying, but I mean only time will tell over the next couple of decades. I think that will show us.
Yeah, I mean, just get off that topic as quick as possible. Just to say, we are streaming live, so make sure you guys get your questions in. I do have some good news and some interesting news. I don't want to say bad news, but interesting news that we'll get in through here through the day. But get your questions in. Let us know what you guys are thinking, talking about, anything else that might be happening out there in the trading world that we might be missing while we're sitting here, while you guys are sitting there getting able to view everything that's happening around you while we're here focused trying to get you the top stories. But weirdly enough, I did read a couple articles over the weekend about breakthroughs in solar energy. And by solar energy, I don't mean just electric, but there was one company, I want to say it was Boston Dynamics, if I remember correctly, that found a way to take the full spectrum of light and use some sort of way to process that to make hydrogen fuel. So that's pretty huge. And then I just wrote about a company yesterday using like plasma dots or something, using electric, or being able to do almost the exact same thing, harness the full spectrum of light to collect more energy from the sun versus what we've been doing in the past. So, I mean, these are potentially 2 really huge technologies depending on how they're utilized and which company, I should say, buys them up first.
Yeah. Do you know the names of these?
I can't remember.
Off the top of
I
your
read so
head.
many stories, you know, it's just one of those things where you're just running through them, and every now and again somebody brings something up and it's just, oh,
Yeah.
I read something about that. But yeah, these are 2 huge jumps in technology, which will help us potentially move forward in one form or another. Like, you know, I'm on team hydrogen, so
Yeah, well, we heard about the Nikola Badger truck
Right.
last week. I mean, we keep hearing about all these technologies. I feel it's getting sci-fi sometimes. That's these particles are being combusted into this other chemical and creating energy, and I don't understand any of it.
yeah, I mean, I'm not a biological engineer, which would
Yeah.
probably take to harness sunlight. I don't know, some sort of
It kind of boggles my
Genius.
mind. It's the same idea with all the healthcare stuff that's coming out, like the CRISPR and all these gene
Yeah, that's
editing
pretty crazy, too.
technologies. I feel like just technology in general
it's awesome.
it's on its next leg of just I
I've-
don't know,
as you
rocket
know,
shipping
I'm-
beyond our own
I'm
expectations.
super interested in what's going on with CRISPR. That company really interests me.
Yeah, just in general, the healthcare market is kind of baffling. Like I said, it's very sci-fi right now.
Well, I just
A
had
lot
this
of things-
conversation recently with a friend. You know, I'm a bit older than you, Danny, but when I was growing up, you had the AIDS epidemic where, you know, people were terrified everybody's going to die of AIDS. And now you can live a full, normal life, you know, with just a few drugs. Like, it's not even a problem. Like, numbers have been dropping. They're finding ways to prevent transmission. I'm sure, you know, condom companies and everything else have something to do with that as well. But, I mean, along with education, we've taken this potentially dangerous pandemic. I mean, at that point in the, you know, in the early 80s and the 90s, it was terrifying to think about. Now it's not even a big deal.
Yeah,
So, I mean, technology in terms of medicine is just nuts.
Yeah, it's definitely something that is exciting. I would just say in general, we live in an exciting time in place with all this tech that's coming out.
Oh yeah, since the you know the invention of the computer, I feel like all this stuff has come to light because of it.
Yeah, thanks Apple for
And the internet. You know, I mean, being able to pass that information and, you know, a heartbeat, you know, across the entire planet. I mean, this is amazing stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, my parents are a bit older than yours, but my dad grew up in the Star Trek generation. He thinks it's cool. He gets to walk around with, what was it called?
Walkman?
I wasn't that big of a Star Trek fan, but they used to have these like pads.
I
They
don't
used to
know.
walk around with. I would call
I don't
it a
think I ever
tricorder,
watched them,
but
so
that's not what it is.
something.
Yeah, it
He
was
had
some sort of
something cool.
technology, yeah, where they're walking around with a pad and they're able to tell you all this stuff, and it's like, my dad's walking around with that right now, you know.
All right. So yeah.
Anyway,
But it's kind of funny that you brought that up with the internet. I wanted to kind of branch off that because I know you hate Tesla, but Elon Musk's other company, SpaceX, I was just reading the other day. They're launching satellites to bring broadband internet to the U.S. here, and they're kind of targeting lower payment plan kind of stuff, like people who are paying like $60-$80 for really bad internet. So it looks like he's going to actually have his own internet service as well. So
Dude.
it seems like this guy is starting to put his hands in
yeah,
a
I
lot
think
of different...
that's another failing bet. Anybody who's ever had satellite television can tell you how well that works.
Yeah,
Unless you live in like a very sunny, dry climate where there's not a cloud in the sky. I mean,
I think he's targeting a very specific demographic with this play.
I remember reading it was
but-
for disadvantaged areas that weren't able to get internet in the first place. But I mean, geez, the satellite. Do you know what a satellite phone costs to begin with?
No,
It's
I've
like
never had one.
super expensive to have a satellite phone. And then, you know, like I said, I've had satellite television. Like anytime a storm comes through, forget it. Like you're not getting any signal. Imagine this working out better. Nothing against Musk, but like satellites just seem like a terrible fail when it comes to passing information.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know too much. It just seems like he's taking another venture into
I didn't even
another
know
industry.
he was into that.
Yeah, well, apparently he's been doing it. They've been kind of slowly launching, I guess, like 60 at a time. He's saying he needs upwards of like 800 plus to give a decent signal to
You know what?
the
That is
Earth,
kind of
so-
terrifying if you think about it. Like 800 pieces of giant space junk floating around
Oh, I'm sure
the
there's
planet.
more than that.
Oh, I'm sure there's way more than that. But I mean, that's kind of terrifying to know he wants 800 giant hunks of trash just floating around.
Yeah, it's funny. I wonder how much of NASA's stuff is up. You know, because
I-
it's like all
every
this
country.
decommissioned satellites and just
Yeah.
space stations. And it's
Those
not like
things
you can
eventually
bring
come
them back.
Yeah, well, some of those things just naturally come back down. They get
Yeah,
sucked into the
true.
gravity, and I forget what it's called, but there's a term for it where it comes in too close and it just gets sucked in and
Yeah, and then disintegrates or
and
something.
disintegrates over, you know, some town, and then somebody's car gets destroyed by a giant piece of flying space junk. But yeah, it's kind of terrifying to think about that he wants 800 satellites up there.
Yeah, but he's saying. I mean, he's going to need more than that apparently, because that's just going to give a moderate signal from what this was saying. So,
I don't know, man.
mean,
I've had satellite TV. I couldn't put my money on that at all.
Yeah. Again, I don't think this is going to be aimed towards kind of our demographic living in cities. We have really good access to good internet, cable, all that good stuff.
We have access to it, therefore we don't need it.
I think, like you were saying, people who don't in rural areas, in places that don't have like fiber and blah blah blah. So maybe this is going to be just kind of filling in the gaps. I'm not 100% sure. I just thought it was interesting that he's just got his hands in everything. He's kind of like this behind the scenes Amazon, because Amazon has their hands in everything.
Yeah, no kidding.
But
Speaking of which, we could talk about them in a minute.
oh, you got some? I don't have anything on Amazon.
I read a story over the weekend that actually kind of coincides with what was going on. If anybody else has I like conspiracy theories, you know, especially when it comes to the market, because we know these big players are doing stuff behind the scenes that we can't ever get a whiff of. But I was reading the news last week, and then they were talking about how Bezos was like unloading a ton of shares, right?
Oh yeah, the what is it? Like 2 billion, I think.
Yeah, he unloaded like a
2 billion?
ton of shares. Now, I didn't like look too deeply into this because it doesn't seem like anybody else picked up on this either. But at the same time, he was bidding for the government's Jedi project.
Yeah, he got denied.
Right.
Yeah, they lost that.
Exactly.
But he's
So-
throwing a hissy fit now. He's,
Well, and that's-
he's like trying to subpoena Trump, and like get the reasoning why, and like I don't know. He's trying to do like a deep dive into why they lost the
Right,
bid.
but the fact that he dumped his shares ahead of time makes me think that he knew something about it. You know what I mean?
I don't know. I mean, he also just went ahead and dedicated $10 billion to what is it? green
Right, so you got
efficiency
okay,
or-
so you're going along with my theory here without even realizing it. Like, so magically, then he donates, $2 billion to clean up the,
I mean, the
the
FCC is
environment.
watching him. So
But that's the thing, though. So he gets a tax write-off for that. Like, you just got all that money. You're gonna have to put it somewhere, right? I'm sure he takes a tax write-off for donating a ton of that money, allowing to keep a bunch more. Like, I don't know. You guys can tell me if I'm crazy or not, but I definitely think there's something going on that is kind of scary, considering this is like a government contract going up. Jedi, like, I don't know too much about it, but I basically know it's like the government cloud system.
Yeah, I'm sure we're going to start hearing more about it soon if this kind of subpoena ever happens or if we ever hear more information from Trump and why this whole
Just
kind
all
of
very
administration
curious the
was
way
like,
this all
no.
worked out, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not crazy, right?
No, I mean, I definitely thought about it as well. I didn't really think too much into it because I'm thinking, FCC's watching these things. It's not really something individuals like me need to worry about, especially at the bigger picture.
Well, I'm glad you jumped on the train there with me, at least for a little while, because I just had this weird feeling.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was just weird because the $2 billion being taken off the books, and he was basically, I want this cash.
You're right.
Then a couple days later, you hear about the whole incident with him losing the contract, and
Right.
then the $10 billion going to what is
Team
it?
trees or whatever.
Is it
I don't know.
I can't remember. Is it green?
No, it wasn't. It was just basically to fight climate change. I didn't
Climate
remember.
change. That's
Yeah,
what it was.
He
I
wasn't
didn't know if
saying
it was like
specifically anything. He just was going to donate X amount of dollars to
Right,
help fight
okay,
climate change.
yeah.
I don't think he's actually put out which foundation he's going to donate to or anything else yet.
either way. This man is moving a lot of money around right now.
Yeah.
but
A
I mean,
whole
it's
lot
just
of money.
drops in the bucket to him.
Yeah,
it's
I know.
worth what $190
Toilet paper.
billion or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know. Somebody had done the math, just saying that if you took the amount of money that he donated versus what he's worth, and tried to compare it to like what you have versus what you're worth, it'd be like pennies versus what he's really putting in.
He should just wipe out Illinois' debt. What is it, like 800 million?
No,
Nothing.
no, you can't do that because that goes and leaves the politicians in the right. Then they can continue doing their same thing. You'll see be in the same hole down
Yeah, but
the road.
at least our taxes will go down then. It'd be a positive for us.
I don't like Detroit, but I'll tell you, man, that was a city that played it right. They
Yeah.
went bankrupt, got all those old contracts out of there, cleaned all that old BS out, and now they're having a revival. So no, you can't let them get away with that, Danny. Bad capitalist.
Still,
Bad
Jeff,
capitalist.
if you want to give us some money, you know what I'm saying?
I'll take some money. My Venmo is.
Yes.
Anyway,
Yeah, one other story I thought we'd touch on here today. Again, just a bunch of tidbits going on here, I feel like,
Yeah.
amongst this earnings season and kind of Corona stuff.
Microsoft killed. That was a big one.
Yeah, Microsoft. And speaking of Microsoft, though, I was going to touch on NVIDIA, which they just released their GeForce Now, which is going to be kind of a competitor against Microsoft's Project X. I'm sorry, Project X Cloud. It's called, which is going to basically it's a service that Microsoft is making available to PC and Xbox players so that they can play on any of their basically any device,
Which
their
is huge.
phones, their MacBooks,
Which
their,
is so huge.
yes, it is kind of going to change the way I think people play video games.
Yes.
I don't know how
100%.
important consoles will be over the next 10 years with this type of technology coming out. I mean, this is
I feel like
brand
consoles
new.
are kind of already slowly, kind of weirdly dying out. But
Well,
this is the younger generation's totally playing via mobile.
You're
so-
not wrong because I started out as a console player, slowly moved to PC as time went on, and I got older. At this point, I was reading there's 1.2 billion gamers who are on PC, which accounts for almost half of all the
Yep.
all the gamers in the entire world. So definitely PC is kind of where it lives, which is why I think GeForce Now is going to be such a big deal. What they're doing is basically it's what they're calling a BYOL. It's you bring your own license. So whatever game you already currently own, you can use it on this platform. You don't have to buy it through
Which is
their their like marketplace or anything like that. They will have that available, but they want you to be able to continue to build your library of video games. So what it is it's this platform where you can sign in, and via a cloud service they have, you can access the latest graphics cards that they have available. So basically, you'll be able to play any game you want because, as many people know, if you're into gaming, constantly have to update your hardware and software to make sure that you can play at the top
The
quality.
highest level, right?
Right. So they're just making it a lot cheaper and easier for people. It's very expensive to continually do that. So I think this is just going to be a huge kind of shift in the way, again, people are going to be gaming over the next 10 years because, I mean, this is brand new. We're going to kind of have to get used to it. Right now, there's about 1,000 titles available to play. It's $5 a month, which is the
Again,
same
going
as-
to this idea of not renting, but essentially having a monthly fee to play games versus everything else subscription based, just like everybody else is doing.
Yeah, I mean, the model of gaming is definitely moving away from just the one-time buying. I mean, you used to go to Best Buy or GameStop or wherever, buy your game once. That was it. You pay your $60, you get to play as long as you want. Now it's you pay your $60, you got to download every 2 weeks and pay for the updates and blah blah blah. So I feel like
The model's
is-
changed a bit.
this is just the way it's going to be moving forward. Again, you're still going to have to buy your games here, but you won't have to continually buy that upgrading software and hardware that really is kind of buying like a new console every.
Well, it's cool to
year
be
or
able to
two,
like
so-
dial it down for people that can't actually play and still let people to play via whatever
Right.
hardware they do have. I mean, in general, this whole idea of the online gaming and the way they're able to do it, regardless of platform, is pretty amazing. Would have been huge when I was in college, I'm sure.
Right.
This is very exciting. I'm not a huge Fortnite player, but you can hear kids playing Fortnite on their phones, on their Nintendo Switches, on their computers, on their iPads. I mean, you can play that game anywhere. There's no way that company isn't just racking in dollars.
Yeah,
you
and
know?
now with this service, you literally can play that game just like any PC player at the top quality with the highest settings, all that good stuff that a lot of maybe console players don't get to enjoy. So this is just going to open the door for a lot of people, I think, more gamers to kind of open or jump into the industry. So just more money to kind of bank on. So,
Oh yeah.
just watch out for that. Nvidia is definitely publicly traded, so keep an eye out for their subscribers.
I'm
kind of
gonna look
as
them
this
up.
goes
'Cause I
on.
thought that they had already announced earnings, but that might be coming up.
Yeah, I'd say in the next quarter you'll probably start to see some subscriber numbers. Sorry, I can't speak with that number. Well, I can't speak at all right now. But yeah, so it's something I'm going to be keeping an eye on. It's a company that I'm always watching.
Right now, sitting at 312. Let's see. Earnings, price consensus, and EPS chart. I mean, it's a 3 hold right now. F for value, A for growth, F for momentum. But, I mean, yeah, you can
Did you
see
see when the earnings
2021's
was?
coming up. Now I'll go back to the main page in a second. I just wanted to quickly see what earnings were saying. Earnings are going to be up. But let's see here on the main page what we got.
Be at the top.
Yeah, I always slide right
Bottom
past it. A little too fast on the slide. Now I'm going too slow.
No, it'll be at the very top.
Where do you see it at the very top?
Under key earnings data. Right there, 21.
Oh, yeah, there you go. That's what happens when you're trying to do so fast.
So yeah, we just missed it. The next
Yeah.
earnings will be on March. I believe it was a couple weeks ago they did earnings.
Yeah, I remember they were up in the news, and you've got a good story that helps them out. And I mean, NVIDIA's, they're on top of it.
They're the forefront of gaming.
Yeah,
I mean,
well,
they
and not even just
literally-
gaming, in terms of just cards in general. I know that them and AMD are always at ends, and you always hear them saying that they're going to produce a card one better than the other. And AMD just recently had also said that, oh, we're going to produce a card way better than NVIDIA's, but NVIDIA always outperforms and outclocks AMD every time.
Yeah, as an avid gamer, I would say that definitely when you look at the kind of, I guess, everyday person who buys stuff like this for PCs, they tend to go to NVIDIA. It's just the way it goes. It's kind of like the household brand name. It's what you think of first.
Yeah, but you do
I'm
pay for it. They're not cheap.
Exactly. And this is why the service is kind of cool. I mean, I'm excited because it's like, well, do I have to necessarily buy all the new hardware as it comes out over the next couple of years?
I'm sure
I
there
don't
will
know,
still be
so-
an incentive for you to do so, but that might also be saying a lot about the technology. I know that a lot of us have switched over to 64-bit systems now, so I mean,
Mhm.
where do you go from there? Obviously, you can go to, what would be the next step, 128, and that's probably down the line. I mean, have we even hit that border with 64-bit yet with what's capable? I'm going to assume probably not, So,
Yeah.
but these computers are just going to get faster and faster and faster as we go along. I mean, as we've seen, like, man, weren't you and I talking about storage systems at one time? Oh, it was
I'm
like to
not
store
sure.
stuff like way back in the day. Like I used to actually have the big floppy disks,
Oh yeah.
that would only hold a couple megabytes. And now you've got these tiny little flash drives that'll hold like entire terabytes now. I mean, it's insane.
Yeah, I actually was just doing a data transfer. I have it must have been about this big. It's like a box, but it was 2 terabytes. And now I'm switching everything over to this like
Solid
5
state.
terabyte. Yeah, and it's this little,
Tiny little thing.
it's just this little box,
Yep.
maybe the size, yeah, about the size of my palm,
Yep.
and it's insane. So,
It's pretty insane.
but yeah, just a few tidbits here today. Tesla, Nvidia, Apple, general market. So. If you guys got anything that you'd like us to go over next time,
It's a sleepy day, so I guess it'd be a good time to put out the the pitch. So for anybody who's interested, we have a promo that is brand new to Zax. We can get that at zax.com/promo. But that is to get on the waiting list for Commodity Innovators. So
Yep.
Commodity Innovators is a new service that has now been closed, but they're going to take a waiting list, and if people cancel, they're going to let you in. So the idea here being is you sign up, and if you're interested in getting in on this is run by Jeremy Mullen too, who is actually a very interesting editor here at Zax.
if you don't follow the Counter-Strike portfolio, that is kind of what he is running at the current moment. So.
Right. Well, he's also going to get this Commodity Innovators thing started, and I'm pretty sure he's going to kick rear end on that as well. So get on the waiting list, and we will see if we can get you in.
Yep.
Wink, wink. With that,
I will say that was probably one of the weirder transitions we've done for the promos. Usually we're pretty darn good and not sneaky, but we make it sound more natural.
yeah. Well, I mean, this was also just a weird one, like the waiting list. Like
Yeah.
it's easy to get a good product and be like, bam, here it is. Well, here's the waiting list, guys.
here's where you can
Potentially
sign up
get
and
in.
wait.
Like
Yeah.
I don't want you guys to sign up and wait, but I mean, this is going to be a really good service, seeing that it's got Jeremy Mullen on it. I mean, he's always kicking ass. Oop.
Ooh. No, he is. I love following Jeremy Mullen's portfolios. It always gives me some good ideas. So yeah, I'm excited to kind of see it. I always follow our editors' portfolios to see how they're doing. So.
And Mullen's always at the top of that list. So, all right. Well, it doesn't seem like we have any real questions here today. Maybe we should just move into the battleground.
Yeah, let's do it.
So I don't really have anything to report. I added Neo. I'm gonna go to my portfolio now so you can pull it up if you need. But I did add Neo, and it's actually up today, but not by much, but enough for me to feel comfortable holding it for a little bit longer. Had it taken a real big dive since I have held it, I probably would have gotten rid of it. But I'm gonna actually ride this one for a while. I think it's gonna be a long hold for me. Takeda is always up and down, so I'm not too worried about it. Overall, pretty happy where I'm at. I'm still watching Boeing. Boeing keeps getting bad news, but it's not killing their price enough for me to buy in. So
Yeah, they got more bad news actually recently because of they found like material in the jet fuel tanks, I guess, or something. So they're starting to find, I guess, more problems with these planes. It's not looking good.
no, but
it just continually
their
gets worse
stock
and
is
worse.
still at 330. Still at 339 right now as we speak. So I just can't seem to find an edge in on this one. But it's weirdly enough, we probably should have touched this more outside of the battleground. But
Now we're here now.
their competitor Airbus is also getting in trouble in Europe. So I mean, it's just not good for the airline industry right now. I think these big airlines need another competitor to jump in and really show them what's up. So if anybody out there is building planes, this might be a real prime opportunity to show what you got, because right now it's not looking good for either of these two.
No, you're looking at Boeing. It's a strong sell.
Yeah,
They're trading basically sideways at this moment.
but that's the thing, they're trading sideways at 339. I mean, like, what an awful place to be, Danny. Like, darn.
Yeah.
You could liquidate right now and still make a bunch of money. Like, I don't understand. I know that we've talked about it before, and I'm pretty darn sure that it's the fact they have these government contracts really propping them up right now. But like, geez, like, come on. It's been over a year, and you're just sitting right here, like, at the high at, what was that? Around 440. Like, 440, 62, 422, it says here.
It's looking for some. I mean,
God.
it was back in last March when the accident happened. Kind of where you can see there the dip.
Right.
But yeah, it's just sideways this
Yep.
whole time. It's kind of trying to find its footing. It's looking to kind of see, I think, where this next step with the jet is going to be. Hopefully, in a positive light.
You and I said it. They should
Investors are
just
just
scrap
waiting.
this one, man.
Yeah,
I mean,
I
I'm
don't
sure
think they
gotta-
can.
I think at this point they're too invested.
Exactly.
I'm sure with where they've started with production, you can't just like change the plane out. But seeing as you've been out of production on it now for almost 2 years, it's got to be hurting you in the
costing
wallet.
them a lot.
And not to
of
mention how
money.
many people aren't working right now. I mean, how many factory workers that would be normally building planes are either now laid off or just waiting. Because you're not building anything while this is happening.
Yeah, I'm not sure on the layoffs. I don't think they've had any of those yet. I think they still have other projects they can put the employees to work to. I don't know. I'm
outside
unsure of
vendors
that,
too.
So.
I'm talking outside vendors as well. I mean, I'm sure they have other people that produce parts for them that are, then shipped to them. Those guys are now in a holding pattern. Like, this has got to be insane to actually see from like a actual worker's perspective. But yeah, I just can't get any edge room on this one. So
All right.
I'm gonna keep watching it.
Well, for me, I more or less have been just doing some background research to see what I want to add to the portfolio. I've talked about it last week. Kind of, we've been playing it a little slow. I've been making ground back into the green. It was kind of not a hard process, but a slow process. With the beatdown we did with Square, we're back on top with that one. So I'm starting to feel a little confident here. Currently, we're actually up almost 10%. We're up 9% today, or 9% total, almost 2% today on the daily. And we're basically green on everything.
Yeah, you are green across the board.
Yeah. So right now, I'm looking at 2 stocks. Currently, one is IIPR. This is another kind of cannabis play. The industry is starting to get a little bit more positive, I feel like.
Which is weird because they just took like a pretty big hit like the other day.
Yeah, and this stock is a little bit, in my opinion, on the safe side. They're actually one of the only companies that you can legally kind of invest in that does cannabis. So what they do is they buy properties from the people who do the growing, and then they release them back to them. So it's kind of like one of those. It is a REIT company. They strictly deal in the business of buying and leasing back.
Pay a good dividend.
Yeah, commercial real estate. But they only deal in the business of medical marijuana right now. So it seems like a pretty good play. It's at a strong buy. What I'm waiting on, though, right here is their earnings. It's coming up next week
it
on the
looks like
26th. So I don't want to jump the gun, get hurt like I did with Square. I'm going to play a little closer to the chest.
So you're not going to try to hope that they come out with a positive earnings announcement?
I don't think I'm going to play it like that. I'm not
really. Even though Illinois, I mean, I'm sure these guys have plays in Illinois. Even though Illinois just came out, you don't think they'd?
No, because they've been in business for a while. Again, they're in more of the medical side currently. They're not really in the business of the recreational, right? I'm sure they are, but more medical side across the country here, especially because I think there's 33 states that are legal for medical use. So definitely good business here. But yeah, again, waiting on the earnings. So come next week, we might be adding this one. But I'm also kind of watching out on Apple. With these kind of corona scares and the warning from them that they're not going to meet expectations, I'm hoping, and I don't know what's going to happen, that they take a little bit of a beat down. I'm not sure right now. They're just kind of they're going along with the market. They're up today, so we'll see what happens. But those are the 2 stocks I'm keeping an eye on over the next week, and I'm hoping to add one of the 2 to the portfolio, depending on kind of what happens. So
interesting plays. Yeah, it's just saw that the marijuana market took a little bit of a hit. Can't remember where. I want to say I seen that in Yahoo, but yeah, I mean,
we're doing good on our plays because GW Pharma is up as well, and they're kind of our more pure play on the marijuana business, I would say.
Well, I want to say you also got it on that one when it's pretty low.
Yeah, I got it at a 113, and it's currently sitting at 125.24. So
yeah, so that'd be a pretty good profit.
Yeah, not bad. Not complaining.
Yeah, I'm looking at Apple now. I mean, earnings should go up. We'll see. We'll
yeah,
see, Danny.
It's one of those things where the company's just been kind of going up and up. With this little bit of bad news, I'm hoping that we can get a better price to jump in. But again, It's kind of a wait to see how the market
Yeah.
reacts to the next coming quarter.
Well, the fact that they announced it yesterday, I mean,
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how if it's going to be priced in over the next couple months. If people will the next coming quarter, again, we have a few months for that. So I'm in no rush, but this is definitely a stock I'd love to get into. I love Apple. I believe in what they're doing. I'm sure a lot of people are kind of fanboys of them. I know I am. I own so much Apple stuff, so it's just one of those things that buy what you know, I guess.
pretty safe bet.
Yep.
All right, man. Well, to go and call it a day, I'm going to end this show on some very special news for those of you that made it the whole way. And that is that the CEO himself, the options guru master, Kevin Matris, will be in-house next week to join us.
Yeah, so that'll be exciting.
Yeah, he will be here to take your live questions, answer anything that might be rolling around your head. You can ask him about what he thinks the coronavirus is going to do to the markets. You can ask him about the elections and what he thinks that's going to happen, and how he feels that's going to affect the markets. He will be here for all of it. So make sure you tune in next week. And with that, I'll just say, see you then.
Peace.